All right, thanks for tuning in to Old Ass Movie Reviews. I'm Scott, that's Dave. Today we are talking about Red Dawn, another Patrick Swayze movie to go in our hot guy month of Patrick Swayze and Kurt Russell.
Two straight guys talking about hot guys. How appropriate is that? How secure in our sexuality are we to be able to talk about two other hot guys?
I get why Kurt Russell and Patrick Swayze packed the theaters. I absolutely get it.
Yep.
They look great. They're good actors.
Good movies.
And they have a presence. Red Dawn, made obviously in the 80s during the whole Cold War and the big Red Scare of Russia, where, I mean, that was everything growing up. Russia was going to attack, you know. And I'm sure you remember that as well.
You kids nowadays don't know the pain. I used to love the duck and cover. Did you ever have to do duck and cover in your school?
I'm familiar with it, but no.
We did some of the schools I went to, in the Midwest, in Michigan especially. We did it for tornadoes.
Yes.
And we also did it for like nuclear war.
Yeah, because that desk was going to protect you from a nuclear blast.
Yeah, the desk or the wall, because there was a point where they had us going all to one wall.
Yeah.
And you kneel down, you put your head down, and you're all tucked in. And even as a kid, I remember thinking, how is this going to protect me? And then later on, I remember talking to somebody, and they were like, that wasn't meant to protect you. That was meant to be able to find the bodies. Because everybody in all the schools went to the same far walls. So if the cleanup crews were finding these walls, if anybody was alive, chances are they were going to be along that.
Interesting. In
those rows or in those aisles. And then if you weren't dead or if you weren't alive, they knew where the body was. They found the body.
Right.
And I thought that was so morbid, but I was like, oh my God, that
makes
exactly
sense.
why. Because there was no way in hell you're surviving that back then.
Well, I just remember.
But it sure made everybody feel good.
Yeah.
We're taking action.
Remember in school seeing above certain doorways and hallways big fallout shelter signs.
Yeah.
Stuff.
And we had those in Michigan.
Yeah, it's this movie is definitely a product of the times when every enemy was the Russians in the movies. So it's I do find my first note is right off the bat. They're in a history class being lectured about Genghis Khan and his war tactics.
Right. And they wind up basically using those war tactics in some extent.
Exactly. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Did you recognize the history teacher?
No.
He was the police chief in The Last Action Hero.
Okay.
The guy that's yelling and swearing, but he's not really swearing. He's just, and that was supposed to be him swearing. Just a little bit of history for you.
All right. Yeah, he wasn't a very smart history teacher. What y'all doing out here? Wow. Yeah. Walks out, gets shot.
My biggest problem with that opening scene is these guys land. They have to know they're by a high school. Why are you opening fire?
Yeah, that didn't make
automatically they just start shooting.
Yeah.
Now, granted, a couple of guys might have done that with a little wild hair up their ass, but I'm thinking that they're probably fairly well trained. If you're a paratrooper, you're pretty well trained. Just thinking you wouldn't just open fire on a bunch of kids.
They did it because the script said so, and they had to have a way to get all the kids together.
Well, yeah, and I guess you have to make the bad guy, and the only real way to do that. I mean, I understand them lining people up and executing them because Russia and China, socialist and communist dictatorships do that. They line people up, shoot them publicly, and walk away. That's the Nazis did it, the Russians did it, Chinese did it, the Cubans did it. Every dictatorship does that.
Yeah.
So that was okay. I mean, not okay, but that was understandable in the way yes, it's not okay.
Wow.
It's bad. But in the way the story was going, I could understand where they were doing that. but I didn't understand why they would just go to a high school and start shooting people looking out a window.
Yeah, that was.
They would have gone in and rounded those kids up, I think.
Yeah, I would think, and would have had no problem doing it.
Right. Right. Yeah, because not a whole lot of kids are going to be able to fight you back. I mean,
no, that was. I remember seeing this as a teenager.
Right.
It was a lot of fun, and it's one of those movies that you think, oh man, that'd be really cool. Yeah, I'd make it if I was out there and stuff like
right.
that. There's a lot in this movie that's actually really cool.
Yeah, there is.
And there's a lot of messages, and some are not so heavy, and some are a little bit more. But
kept waiting for Damon Wayans to show up. Message.
I was waiting for that a few times. Like, I love the bumper sticker. You can take my weapon when you pry my cold dead hands from. Yeah. There it is.
I really do think there would have been, in that particular town, in that area, and in the part of the country where they were hitting, there would have been a lot more dead Russian and Cuban.
There absolutely would have.
There's no way a bunch of rednecks would have been sitting there watching these guys land and go, well, what the hell are they doing, Mary Lou? No, they'd have been like, click, click, let's go hunting.
I mean, they tried to explain how the invasion happened and how they snuck in through commercial airliners and the border.
Right.
And everything, but
that doesn't hold water for me.
It doesn't for me either. And even once they get here, they're not going to survive.
No way in hell.
There are too many people who own guns and are not going to want a bunch of foreign
invaders. I mean, we won't even just say foreigners. They're going to be foreign military invaders.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to take
invaders. It's not going to happen.
Right. We're going to take that juxtaposition of no.
And Bella, Commander Bella of, I don't know whether he was El Salvadoran, Cuban, or something.
Yeah, I don't know what he was supposed to be, but that was Ron O'Neill.
Yeah, he wasn't Russian, but
he's supposed to be South American.
Yeah, he knew what was going on. He actually made a comment of how he was usually the insurgent.
Yeah, he's like, this is what we do.
Fighting. But he said, now when he saw his dead troops, this time it's my people. But he knew, and he had a little bit of respect and knew that they were not going to win.
He knew they weren't going to win, and he knew no matter what they did, even if they killed these guys in the hills,
they would never.
Somebody was going to take their place.
Yes,
because that's what happens.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Historically, real quick.
Yeah.
Historically, German generals were spoken to. The Japanese, I forgot what Japanese admiral was spoken to. They asked him, well, why didn't you go straight in and hit California and just land your troops there? And he said, because America has the largest military in the world. And everybody's like, no, at the time we didn't have that many. He goes, no, everybody knows Americans own guns.
Yeah.
He goes, we may have been able to take California, but we wouldn't have gotten over those mountains, and we would have never been able to go past the Great Plains. The Japanese knew that there were too many armed people in this country, and they didn't know the territory. And the people who lived there, especially back during World War II, did. Yeah. They asked the German generals the same question, and it was the same answer. You couldn't do a ground force attack on American soil. Too many people had guns.
Yeah.
Which is why I believe in the Second Amendment. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, absolutely.
That's my political thing.
And they actually point on something here that I found interesting. When the Russian commander showed up, he wanted a list of a gun ownership registry.
Yeah.
So they could
round up. I don't know how he knew about that paperwork.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, maybe it's not so hard now to figure out that stuff.
Yeah.
But back then, I imagine you would have had to have had spies and crap everywhere. But he just seemed awfully nonchalant about it. Yeah, we need this form and where to go to get it. I don't think it would have been that easy for them to get that stuff. But you're right. It talks about the registering of the firearms, and all of a sudden they had a whole list of people who had weapons.
Yeah, it was.
I did catch that.
It's a good war movie. Really is. World War III. It reminds me of a lot of 80s war movies. I enjoy this. This is a entertaining flick. It's not. Thing is, it is a bit far fetched that they were able to actually land
Yeah, I don't. Even if they did land, I don't think it would have been as easy. Even though, like when you read the ticker tape or the little scrolling whatever in the very beginning, when they talk about the perfect storm,
yeah,
and how everybody with America's on their own, even then that would not have happened.
No.
We had too big a military back in the 80s, and even now, even with all the crap going on now, I think if a foreign invasion happened like that, you'd have some assholes that would side with them, but the majority of people would be like, oh, no. We're fighting here. This is brother sister fight. You guys are outsiders. We're going to tag team your ass, and then we'll fight again later on.
Exactly. Well, what was interesting is in the movie they made China an ally.
I took that down as a note too.
Yeah.
The same thing that like they talk about. Well, who is with us? Who there was 600 million angry Chinese, and the guy's like, last I heard, there's like almost 2 billion. It's like 600 million now. It's like, oh, so they did have nukes. Nukes did go off.
Yeah, nukes did. They did mention that nukes had went off in major populated areas in the U.S.
Yeah, and when they had to do a limited war because they were like, if we keep bombing, America's not going to bomb their own territory, but if we start bombing the other guys, it would just be nothing left.
Nobody's going to survive.
So yeah, that was very interesting the way they handled that.
Yeah.
Schools.
They had the book burnings and concentration camps or re-education.
Yeah, I noticed that.
There was a scene that I just had to laugh when the Russian troops went up to the mountains.
I'm looking at that note
sign
right now.
about Theodore Roosevelt and the forestry conservation
Forestry service.
Yeah,
I took a note of that. That's so funny.
So what's it say? So this guy goes on about a great Indian uprising and massacre and everything.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the sign. It's like, no, that doesn't say that.
How they bravely slaughtered all these people. It's like nothing.
And then he finds an arrow.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, then he finds an arrow on the ground. It's an Indian arrow. That's plastic. No, that's polished bone. Yeah.
That was funny. I actually have that note here. That was my next note. But it was brilliant because he totally mistranslates. He tells the other two guys what they want to hear, not what's really on there. With his two commanding officers, he just tells them what they want to hear, which I thought was very funny. Then they're all taking pictures by the sign.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good. I just want to know how a guy, that same officer, has 3 bullets in him, how he makes it up the side of a mountain at a 45-degree angle, side of a mountain, outrunning football player kids that are in shape.
Yes.
And gets to the radio.
Yeah.
To try and call for help.
Yeah. That was
I'm just saying.
That was impressive. He was pretty shot up.
Yeah.
Way too shot up to do that.
That's a strong-willed guy right there, man.
They planned to rescue, and they rescued a bunch of their parents they didn't rescue their parents because the kids' parents were assassinated, but they rescued people in the drive-in. We're handing out guns and everything. So I'm like, all right, now their numbers are going to grow.
Right.
Nobody there anymore. It's still just 4 or 5 of them. It's like, what? Where'd these fuckers go?
That didn't make any sense to me either. I'm like, wait a minute, you just got freed from a prison. Now, granted, I understand you just want to make some distance between you and the bastards that were torturing you for the last 6 months. But I also think there'd be a lot more people going, I want a little bit of revenge right now.
It's on. We're taking our town
it's
back.
on. I got a gun now. I got bombs. I got people. Okay, well, let's play your little game.
Let's take it back. Yeah.
But you're right. Everybody ran away. It's like,
yeah, I didn't buy that. It just
no, I didn't either.
Yeah, when they did line up all the people on the side of the road, I had such a Gaius Balter moment there with.
Oh yeah.
And it's like,
wow,
look at that. Yeah, they were using that mayor bad, and the
I'd
mayor's
have taken out that mayor. I'm sorry, if I was those guys, the Wolverines, I'd have taken out that mayor.
Oh yeah. Well, his son betrayed him big time. And I'm sitting there
what he
when
got. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, when Patrick Swayze was, saying we got to shoot him or whatever because, and they're arguing. It's like, oh no, he's dead. He he got a tracking device implanted in him, or he swallowed.
Yeah.
And instead of running and going away, he went right to him.
And never told him what was going on.
No.
See, that's he thought about what he was doing. He had a chance, like you said, go in the opposite direction.
But he was the class president.
But what I want to know, that's right. That's funny. Now I see why. I was just having the Gaius Baltar moment in general, but yeah, okay, that makes total sense now.
Yeah.
It's even funnier. But my thing is that there's only like 5 or 8 of these guys, right?
Yeah.
Up in the mountains. They live in very close together. They're always together. How did he get into town and nobody knew it?
Well, that was it. It was just all of a sudden. Well, I went because I knew you weren't going to let me. Well, how'd you? Maybe he went when they went and picked up the 2 girls. I don't know.
Maybe but they didn't make that apparent. You know what I mean?
It was just like, what? When did you do that?
Yeah, it's like, when the hell did you leave? You were with them the whole time.
Yeah.
But there's that. That was kind of a problem for me. But what I thought was interesting is Patrick Swayze had the gun to the guy and he was going to shoot him, and then he puts his gun down like maybe he's going to let him just walk away,
I think
go off in the opposite direction and run. And the other guy just walks up to him with a machine gun. He just looks at everybody like, what?
His character had taken a very dark path.
Yeah, he did.
Here we have Stacy Keach again as a pilot, and he tells him at one point.
No, that's not Stacy Keach.
It's not?
That is Powers Booth.
Powers Booth, that's it.
Powers Booth.
Thank you.
Because I was like, oh my God, because I thought it was Stacy Keach too. I'm like, no, that's not.
Powers
him.
Booth.
Like, who is that? Yeah. And I kept pausing until I got the name.
Okay, cool. Okay, so Powers Booth as the pilot who was shot down. He's telling C. Thomas Howell's character, who's carving his kill numbers on the stock, that hatred's going to burn you up. And he just looks up at it and smiles and it keeps me warm.
Yeah, so it keeps me warm. Yeah, that's when you know the kid's gone. That's when you know gone. This kid's just...
He's gone. He's done.
There's no saving this kid. He's going to get killed to get everybody else killed.
Yeah, and he did.
I do like how they tagged everything.
Yes.
Like when they blew something up or killed a whole bunch of the bad guys, soldiers or invaders, they would write Wolverines on everything. Yep. So everybody knew who they were. Everybody knew they were coming for them.
Mm-hmm. And they had told the townspeople that these kids were actually sneaking into town and killing the townspeople.
Yeah.
They were trying to get the town turned against them.
Yeah, nobody was turning against them because everybody knew who these guys were.
Exactly. Exactly. So
Bella, once again, the General Bella was telling him, you can't keep executing these people.
Yeah.
It's not working the way you want it to. It's never worked the way you wanted it to. Stop doing it. The guy just wouldn't listen.
No, he wouldn't.
That head general comes in and goes, yeah, that was a dumb idea. We're not going to kill any more mass executions.
Yeah.
And he was probably the smartest one out of the group, that second general coming in.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good. China as the allies, it would have been interesting had they been able to work that in a little bit more.
Yeah, if we'd have seen Chinese troops appear.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
That would have been interesting to see some Chinese troops coming over the border, like chasing the Russian guys out and, killing them. But again, limited budget, boy, you look around that area where they were filming, holy crap, they must have been freezing their ass off the whole time.
You know it.
I can't imagine what a miserable shoot that was.
It was gorgeous. It worked.
Yeah, beautiful, but my God, that had to be a horrible shoot.
At first, I was wondering why they didn't run for Free America, but then they do show them up at the front line where tanks, and obviously they didn't have enough budget for a big war scene, so we had 3 tanks. So it's like, okay, but that's why they didn't try and make it across the line.
Yeah, you get that. You get it. Well, even that one guy was telling him, you should probably go. You should leave now. You should get out of here. You make your break while you can.
Yeah.
There's the war zone. You know what to avoid. You know how to avoid it. Go. And they wouldn't go.
No, and I get that too.
My favorite question is one of my favorite moments of the movie is whenever the pilot, Powers Booth's characters, tell him how they're going to get into the drive-in and what they're going to blow up and this and that. And any questions? And the kid raises his hand. What's a flank? Yeah. And then all the military questions. What's this?
Grazing
What's that?
fire?
Yeah, I thought this was this. I thought this meant that. And he's just like, jeez.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, you know, they had to have a stupid moment, and it was very obvious a setup when a truck stops and drops off.
Oh my God, I
They
have
were
that note
so
too.
hungry, and I'm just like screaming, "It's a trap! It's a
Yeah,
trap!"
that is a trap. That is a what they call a hero trap. Don't fall for it.
Yep.
Um,
And they did.
and they did all over it. And nobody, I don't think anybody would be, I don't, well, I think if they were fighting for as long as they were fighting, they would have realized that that was a trap. Maybe not, but I think you would have. I'd
Yeah,
like
well,
to think you would have.
they here's the thing I had a little bit of
They
problem
were
with.
hunting.
Yeah, well, exactly. They said they were so hungry and they got all that stuff, but
Yeah.
they were hunting.
Yeah, they were
killing.
getting their food.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that my note was, how did they not know the food was a trap?
Yeah. It was a trap.
Such a trap. Such
Admiral
a bad
Akbar
trap.
even saw that. So
Yeah, no kidding.
we had to get a reference in. I'm sorry.
It's funny.
Just one more.
Just one more trap. Admiral Akbar. When you do the editing of this, you got to drop that in there.
Oh,
it's a trap.
It's a trap. Yeah.
Yeah, Bella. I like the character of Bella, especially towards the end when Patrick Swayze's carrying Sheen, his brother. And Bella's got the gun right on him. He could take them both out, and he just lets them go.
Yep.
Because he's reading the letter that he's writing to his wife. Like,
Yes.
I can hardly wait to touch your hair. I'm putting in for my resignation. This is not what it's not what I signed on for.
Yep.
And this, I'm going to have a hard time living with myself after this. This is not what it's supposed to be. Basically, he became his enemy.
Yeah.
Is the way I took that letter to read.
That's my last note. His character takes one hell of an arc.
Yeah.
And there's a lot there. And it's really cool to see that he was a freedom fighter. He was a Wolverine, basically.
Yeah, he was a Wolverine.
In his country. And now he was on the other side, and he saw he couldn't do it. And it's
right.
It was very telling. It was he was a great character.
Because at first you're like, this bad guy, and then you listen to his dialogue and you're like, he's the bad guy in this movie, but he's also looking at the guys that are the other villains of the movie, and he's telling them, look, you don't know what you're up against here. Yeah. This is, I used to do this, and this is what you guys are doing is wrong. You're the kind of guys, I think he tells the one general that you're the kind of guys I used to kill.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't say it quite that way, but that's basically what he's telling the guys. Like, you're the guys I used to kill when you came into my village, and now I'm you. I think that's what he says to him. Like, I'm now you.
Yeah.
Or the guy asked him, well, what did you become? I became you. And that's when Bella, you just see it in his eyes. Like, he doesn't have the heart, man. He's like, this isn't what I signed on for. I'm supposed to be a soldier now, and this is not soldiering.
No, it's slaughter.
Yeah. And you don't do what you're doing. And that was a good story arc for that character. And I've seen that guy in other stuff. I want to say he's a big blaxploitation actor. But I know I've seen him in a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
O'Neill. And he was a good character in that movie, especially whenever he lets him go and Patrick Swayze and Sheen go off into the park.
Yeah. To die.
Which is interesting because you're never sure whether they're dead.
Oh, they're dead.
I'm thinking they're dead because they had like 5 bullets.
Yeah, they both got shot up pretty bad.
Yeah, they that's where they died. But that was the last scene in The Rock when they showed the big rock with everybody's
Artisan
names.
Rock, yeah.
Yeah, carved into it. That was good. That was a good scene.
Yeah, well, they showed Patrick Swayze actually carving his name on there.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, he was actually. I was like, why is he writing his name up there?
Oh my God, I didn't catch that.
Because he knew he wasn't coming back.
Okay, that makes sense. Now I'm going to have to go back and look at that scene because I'm
almost positive that's what I saw.
I saw him. No, you're right. It is because his last name's Eckert, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because him and his brother were one right. He did his name and then his brother's name.
Yeah.
Because they were going to blow up the train tracks or the train station.
They were going to give Aardvark and what's her name a chance to get away.
Yeah, well, they were fighting here. They wouldn't be going after them.
Yep.
Tony. No, not Tony. Tony got killed.
Erica.
Erica. Yeah.
Yeah.
That poor girl, everybody she liked got killed.
I know, right?
It's like, I like you. Boom. Ah. I like you. Boom. Ah. I don't like anybody anymore.
Yeah.
Is she really liked the pilot?
Yes.
Yeah, and I know some people are going to look at that scene and think it was like a sexual thing with her, but I look at it like that was a father-daughter thing with her. Like she was looking for a father figure, and that pilot was that father figure for her.
Mm.
And I think the pilot looked at her like a daughter.
Yeah.
You know, and I know some people are going to look at that and misread it, but that's how I looked at it.
Well, she was actually asking about his wife.
Yeah.
And how they met and things like that. So it was, I didn't get that, like that vibe. So,
but when I was younger, I want to say that's what I felt like as a teenager. It's like, she's hitting on this old man. But now I watch it as an adult. I'm like, no, she's just looking for a father figure, because everybody she knows is dead. She even says it at one point, like everybody's dead.
And something had happened to her, and they're not talking about that.
Oh yeah,
I don't think that ever really comes out.
I think those two characters were raped.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it's alluded to.
Yeah, yeah, and that just makes you want to kill some bad guys even more.
Yeah,
you know.
So final thoughts on Red Dawn.
How did Charlie Sheen get the part in this movie?
I don't know. He was
a big actor at the time. I actually wrote down the names of these actors that were the big ones. Jennifer
Sheen.
Grey.
Yeah.
Leah Thompson.
Yeah.
Charlie Sheen and Patrick Swayze were the four big ones in this.
There's your budget.
Then you had Harry Dean Stanton.
Yeah.
Ron O'Neal and Powers Booth. Ron O'Neal was Bella.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about, I want to say I've seen him in a bunch of other movies, and he always plays either that same type of character or a guy in charge. He always played a guy in charge of something. And I'm going to have to look him up. I did not look him up on IMDb. So yeah, he was a very interesting character. Good story arc for him.
Great. It's one of the...
Didn't see that coming.
No, and I've seen this movie multiple times, and I've never caught that.
Right.
I never caught that.
This is only the second or third time I think I've seen this movie. Yeah. So it's been many, many years since I saw it last. So yeah, I didn't. Maybe it's because I'm not looking for stuff like that then. But no,
I think that's what we've talked about is now that we're being critical, we're watching at a different level.
Well, not just being critical, but also being older.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
You know, I think looking at movies from an older perspective. Did I just say that?
Yeah, you did, because when I saw this as a teenager, I was like, "Oh, this is awesome! I want to be a Wolverine." You know?
Yeah, exactly.
But now
I do that. I blew people up. Yeah. And then you don't catch the way that one kid is getting.
No, you don't.
Screwed up in the head. You don't see how the other kid is just basically going into panic attacks every time something happens.
Yeah.
You don't see what happened to the girls until now. This is the first time I ever looked at it and went, "Oh my God, those poor girls were probably, raped at one point." And that's why whenever he says Charlie Sheen's character says something to the one girl, the other one jumps across and says, "You're an asshole. You don't know what the fuck." Yeah, I mean, and you're like, "Holy crap!" That's when it dawned on me, like, "Oh shit." That's what happened. Is those poor girls were knocked around a bit.
Yeah.
And so you understand they're getting even. Yeah, you definitely understand those women.
Oh yeah, they did too.
Oh hell yeah, they took a lot of those guys with them.
Yeah.
But it's a good movie. It's a good war movie. It's a lot of people would scream propaganda. I wouldn't go that far.
It's an 80s movie during the Cold War.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a propaganda film, and I have heard it called that.
Really?
I've heard it's Second Amendment propaganda. Maybe a little, but mostly it's just like I think of how a lot of people would react in this country if something happened. Now, even today, for as crazy as shit is in this country, I think if you had an invading force, the majority of people would come together.
Well, yeah.
And
absolutely.
Start being like I said, they'd be like, no, this is our problem.
Yeah, we'll handle that.
You are not welcomed here. We're going to kick your ass. We're going to send you home packing, and then we're going to fight amongst ourselves again. Exactly. That's my opinion. I could be wrong.
No, I think you're 100% right. That's why it's not going to ever happen.
Right.
And it's just not. And you have to, I think, to enjoy this movie, you have to just unplug and realize this had never happened.
Yeah.
But this is a what if.
Yeah. What if something this crazy did happen? Well, it would probably happen very much along the same lines. There would probably be a couple of nukes dropped in some areas.
Yeah.
I happen to live in a place that would probably get hit by a nuke.
Oh yeah,
so I'm not going to know this ever happened.
It's
yeah, mine's going to be over in the blink of an eye, so I'm okay. It's on you people. You guys got to keep the fight going.
Yeah, I've seen the targeting maps of probability, and yeah, we're on there.
Oh yeah. Everywhere I've ever lived, I'm on it. It's like what the hell?
Okay, y'all have fun.
I have to live in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere, by nothing.
You see that shadow on the wall? That was me.
That was me. That was where I was. That's where I was standing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Just hope that never happens.
Yeah.
Because in a blink of an eye, you'd be like, "Who are you?" "Oh, I'm Michael. I'm the gatekeeper."
Yeah.
Really? What happened?
So we have that to be thankful about. So anyway, yeah. Back to the movie. As far-fetched as some of it is actually what would probably go down and how people would react. And I thought it was a really good movie, and also a study on behavior. When you mentioned the one kid with panic attacks and PTSD, and the girls, and C. Thomas Howell just going right over the edge into full.
Oh yeah, he played a good crazy. He really did.
The mayor's son, the mayor, Bella.
I would have killed that mayor. I would have made a special trip to that guy's house.
Yeah. So there was a lot more. Every time I've watched this movie, I've just seen it as a war movie. When I watched this last night, I saw it as a study in humanity or human behavior, and it's like, wow, this is really interesting. This is different. I have zero desire to watch the remake.
No. There's no watching remakes on this. No. I'm sorry, it was silly to make it.
Yeah.
I've heard that. I heard it failed miserably at the box office.
It should. I don't care if you put Chris Hemsworth in it. It's still why.
Exactly. The thing I never noticed before was watching this movie was the other side, because they did actually show a little bit more of the other side with Bella. Mm-hmm. The one bad guy, not Nazi, but the one bad guy Russian who had the goatee and was just the evil bad guy and was killing people left and right. And some of the other captains and generals. But then you had the other general show up and was like, you got to stop the mass executions. It's just a bad idea. And basically berates the other general. Mm-hmm. He's like, no, I'm a hunter, and this is what we're going to do. And we're going to find these guys. We're going to get rid of the problem, and we'll move on from there. And you can kind of see that guy's point of view. Like, if you're in an area where your job is to go hunt these guys down, that's your job.
Yeah.
He gets his comeuppance. The bad guy with the goatee gets his comeuppance.
Oh, yeah. He gets an RPG to his trailer.
Yeah. And you see Bella's full circle, or almost full circle, character development. Yeah. And he's the one that I think you see the most character development in.
He is.
And he's not even really a main character. He's like maybe a second-tier character.
No, but to me, he was the most interesting character.
Yeah.
And it was that letter he was writing to his wife. It's like
right at the end. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, the whole this isn't what I signed on for kind of letter, and I'm coming home, and I can hardly wait to see your beautiful smiling face, and I'm never going to forget this.
Yeah.
And so I do recommend this movie, especially for if you want to just watch a good war movie. If you want to watch a good, like Scott was saying, a good movie that has a little bit of psychological aspect to it.
I mean, it's not much, but it's there.
Yeah, I don't see it as, like I said, I don't see it so much as a propaganda film. Initially, as a kid, I suppose I would have, until I watched it the other night, and then I was like, this isn't really propaganda. This is what happens in any country that's invaded by a foreign
and that's
government.
What they made a point to show.
Yeah, with Bella. That was definitely what they were trying to show. So yeah, it's a good movie. It's Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, Patrick Swayze. This was better than Steel Dawn, not to be confused with Red Dawn. So
well,
what do we have?
He and I disagree on that. Okay.
What do we have next week?
We agree to disagree on which one was better.
Uh,
No. This is by far better than Steel Dawn.
yes,
Yes.
absolutely is.
But
So
watch this. It's good.
next episode, we're going to return to Kurt Russell, and I don't know which one we're doing.
Is that Big Trouble in Little China?
We will do Big Trouble in Little China, which is actually one of my top 10 favorite movies of all times.
Yeah.
And guess what? Another John Carpenter flick. So
Go figure. Go figure.
Be sure and tune in when we continue Hot Guy Month November.
Okay,